Hi guys, welcome back to Life Education's podcast. Myself and Caroline are with Grant Rose. Is that right?
That's a good attempt.
Grant Goes, if you anglicise the Dutch. Grant Rose. I'll stop embarrassing myself now. You're originally from New Zealand. You're here in Dubai working with Fitness Link Middle East. Is that right? And then you've got another kind of startup happening in the bank.
Yep.
In the fitness industry, which feel free to talk about if you want. But we wanted you to come along. You've been in Dubai for a few years.
Yeah, 8 years now.
So you kind of know how this industry's been at the beginning, 8 years ago.
8 years as a veteran for Dubai standards.
Oh, geez.
It is oldie.
I consider myself very young, by the way.
Yeah.
Before we move on.
How long have you been here?
Shh.
Yeah, okay.
10.
More than 8. So you've seen the business change, but you've also had your own projects left and right. You've done a lot of kind of startups and got projects off the ground, seen them through, moved on to the next one. So we wanted just to come in and have a chat, because part of the website that we're running, there's a section on the business of fitness. And we're at the moment we're focusing it around how PTs can get their expertise out there. You know, how you can market yourself, how you can separate yourself from people around you, how you can exercise your niche. And then build it into something, something reputable, something professional, something that people kind of aspire to be eventually business owners overseeing different things. So perhaps just before we get to that, just introduce yourself and sort of where you came from. I know we spoke briefly, you're kind of all around New Zealand growing up, and why it is you moved to Dubai and sort of got into the entrepreneurial world.
So born and bred in New Zealand, and New Zealand being a very active nation, active country, you're born into that lifestyle to start with. What kind of got me started in the fitness side of it was because I was so active playing sports through college and school and stuff like that, that there had been a PE module where you learn about health and fitness, and that's what we did at school. And then from that module, it's kind of like, it kind of fitted in with, I like to be active, like to play sport, and it seemed like a natural progression to go into fitness side of things. So it was like if I remember correctly, it's a couple of years back now. So I think it was like a 3-month module where we were all learning about the basics of fitness. And it wasn't any PT course, it was just through our PE teacher. We went down to one of the local gyms. I mean, the gym had maybe, I think 30 members, maybe 40 members. I mean, it's a small town of only 5,000 people. But from there, it kind of got me addicted into the whole thing of being active, being healthy, and then assisting others or helping others achieve the same kind of things. Then that was from my very hometown, and then kind of from there it's kind of developed. I've gone from a small town of maybe, say, 15,000 people, and then gone to a bigger town, which was Rotorua at the time, and there was like 80,000 people, and then shifted up to Auckland after that. And so things just kind of naturally progressed as I was looking to develop my skill sets further. So after all, I don't know how it was, a few years, end up at Les Mills in Auckland, and obviously they're very big with the group fitness. Went through the career kind of thing there, developing skill sets from a gym instructor to consultant with facilities to help them run their businesses better. And then kind of again natural progression was with Les Mills. They obviously offer their programs all around the world. And Dubai happened to be one of those programs, and it was in 2010, I believe now. I came over to help them with their 10-year launch, and it was kind of opened up the door, the opportunity to come over here, join the agency over here, and that's kind of what pulled me over to Dubai. I mean, that's the short story kind of thing. I don't want to go long and deeply into it, but it's kind of what it gave me opportunities. Les Mills gave me opportunities to grow and discover other countries and their markets and how they've been developing, where they see maybe somewhere like Holland was very much more of a social scene as far as fitness, whereas back in New Zealand it was very hardcore. People they wanted to be fit for a very good reason, and they wanted to live life better, where the Dutch they went because they thought they had to, that kind of thing, But it allows me to get different perspectives from different companies, different trainers, different educations, different types of exercise systems that are out there in the world, which gives me a bit of an understanding of, I'm not biased towards anything. I think it all has its own place, and there's pros and cons to everything, and I think in the fitness industry these days is there's so much on offer that people sometimes get lost and they don't focus on something. They become a jack of all trades and they end up struggling within the industry, which is probably some of the point that we find here in Dubai. Dubai being a newer fitness nation, you find a lot of people will get into fitness blind, if that makes any sense, as far as they just think, oh, I want to, for example, I'm a PT, it'd be great if I can just come into Dubai and pick up some clients and go for it. Again, people don't understand it's not easy just showing up, saying I'm a PT, and then all of a sudden you've got clients. It's not like that at all.
Yeah.
People don't spend enough time with the networks or doing the groundwork to establish themselves fully before moving on to things. So actually, it's pretty funny. You've been talking about, you were saying before, how do they come into the industry?
Yeah.
Or why do they struggle here within the industry? I think it's one of the biggest things is people lately have been trying to come into Dubai because they've got this notion of Dubai's got lots of money. So they think, oh, great, I can come here, I can charge a whole lot, and happy days, away you go, right? Whereas it's not as simple as easy as that. There's laws and regulations and stuff like that go on. But with more and more competition, with more and more systems or more gyms coming up, it makes it a lot harder to come into this industry and start making money off the bat.
So do you, maybe on that tangent, do you have some advice for people who are looking? Like, where do people start if they're either moving to Dubai or moving into the industry and want to get started? What do they do? Where do they go?
The biggest thing here is like Dubai's network is very much about who you know. That's pretty much the bottom line of it. And usually if you know someone that's well established or who's got a network of their own, whether it's, say, for example, if you know people in the magazine world or the media world that can talk amongst people that are like-minded into activity, that's the easiest way to get into it. But I've always suggested to people that, you come here, you join a club, you get known over here, even if you're well established. So people from New Zealand and the UK have come across, they're very good at what they do, they've established themselves in those countries, but when they come to Dubai, it's a fresh start.
Yeah.
You're not
You start at zero.
Yeah, exactly, totally thing. So I always suggest to people to come over, spend a month here, understanding what goes on in the market, the different clubs that are available, from the commercial ones like Fitness First 360, Gold's Gym, to those boutique gyms, because there's a big variance between what they offer to the employee. So I always say to someone, if you're going to want to come to Dubai, come for a month, come for a holiday, assess out the market, see what's available in the market, so you can make a proper choice for yourself, because there's so much variation that people just kind of think they can just show up and start PTing. Like they think they can go down to the beaches, where maybe 5 years ago you could go down to the beach, you could start PTing people, and now these days you can't. There's more permits, there's more red tape needed. So by establishing yourself with a club, it allows you to grab a base and get a bit of a storyline behind you, or a name for yourself over here as well.
Yeah, I think for people moving here, it's kind of interesting, because when you come from a different country, you've got no idea what someone in that industry should earn here, and you can have a lot of different gyms that will offer various different contracts and various different arrangements, and some of them, without knowing, you walk into something that's actually not well suited for you as an individual, very much so in the favor of the facility as opposed to the individual. So I see that a lot with people. So it's what you were saying about establishing a network, being able to speak to people within that industry, so you can find out, like, what do people earn in this industry, what is the right kind of contract, what is an arrangement that works both, because you have to be even. You can't also just be in it for yourself. You need to also support the facility that you're working for or at.
Well, that's the thing that people miss. Like when people come out, they think Dubai's got lots of money, right? Or the UAE's got lots of money. Half the people don't even realise that Dubai is just an emirate of the UAE, right? So people don't actually have an understanding about this country. And then when they come here, like the businesses here are about making money themselves.
Yeah.
So they're not about bringing people over for them to make money.
Yeah.
The business wants to make the money themselves, you know. So they usually find that they'll struggle themselves the PT will struggle themselves because they're supplying or supporting the business.
But businesses, like, just being on the other end of it, like it's very expensive to run here. Like, rent is just astronomical. It's so astronomical here. So if you really start to look at it from a business perspective, you can understand why these businesses are like, well, no, actually, we have to pay you this much because then we're just not making any money. Like, they can't even stay open.
Yeah, totally. I don't know if you guys noticed, but you've noticed that that when a lot of people come here, they start with a company. They usually last for about 6 months, and they go out on their own, or they find their own thing, or they try and start up their own thing after 6 months. Because and that's probably the realization that people have to understand is that when you're coming over here, it's hard to start up. It's hard to get that base network of clientele. But a company, when you join a company, they do provide that for you. They they help provide you with networks to build your business and grow. So, it's kind of a short-term sacrifice for it end up being a long-term gain.
Yeah, when I first arrived, my colleagues, we must have done the best part of 2 to 3 years between us before deciding to set up our own freelance company, and we have been having the conversation about it for a long time before we actually made the step. And I can see how people get frustrated in these jobs, because you come over as a PT and you earn 50% of what the people are paying, and you're working 6 a.m. till 10 p.m. And as a PT, you don't see the costs that the gym are paying to their bills, their suppliers.
Yep.
So you feel like you're putting the money in the pocket of that one owner that you know.
But I feel like that's a very narrow view.
Yeah.
It's a very, very narrow view. And I think that a lot of PTs go out on their own because they're like, well, I'm not going to give the gym 50%.
Yeah.
I'm going to take 50%. But what they don't realize is that facility is also paying for your visa, for your medical insurance, for, your end of service benefits. It's also paying for so many other gratuity.
They're also giving you the platform and all the equipment that you need to hone your skill and develop your profession.
And they're paying the rent and marketing costs
Yeah.
and bills, and which here, astronomical.
Yeah, they go through the roof, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, totally.
massive.
That is a big thing. When you think about it, and that's there's a lot of things you guys looked into before you took that step.
Yeah.
And developed and started your own business on top of that. Dubai is also very different from the other countries around the world. I mean, back in New Zealand, you do probably a 3-month training course, and then you can train anywhere, train in parks, train on the beach, and anything like that, right? But there's also a lot of workshops, there's a lot more development, there's a lot more support in the industry to help people develop their educations.
Yeah.
Starting up a business back in New Zealand is actually $50.
It's so easy.
Done.
Yeah.
And away you go. And people don't realize that about Dubai. I mean, if you ask me, I think Dubai, in not a bad way. People come here to make money, and it's simple as that. And you gotta accept that. As a PT, if you're a PT coming over here, that's why you're going to give away your 50% of your sessions, because there's other costs involved, and it's not easy. If you want to start up your business, you can spend anywhere from maybe 40,000 for a freelance license to 600,000 for a small facility. And then you've got to pay all the equipment and everything on top of that. So if you haven't got the capital, it's very hard to do. So for PTs, that's why it's always recommended. Come over for a month, see the different boutique clubs available, the commercial side of it, see what kind of things they offer, and then really are you willing to sacrifice, or what are you willing to do, I should say, before getting involved in the industry.
Yeah, so when we left the gym that we worked for, they're no longer in business now, but we went into the freelance world, and it was very clear the people who were, I won't say the most successful, but the people who had the most regular kind of clients and the most stable businesses were the ones who had come from a large chain. They've been in Dubai for a couple of years working there. Yes, they've been paid a small percentage of what the client was paying, but at the time, that's almost that's what you're worth to these people, because you don't have the skill set to run a business yet. You just have to go in and do your thing, do what you are able to do, and what you're able to do is just coach people.
Yeah.
The running a business stuff, that comes later, but there's a lot of people who fly in, and you can kind of see them online. You see them on social media, a new freelance company has a new trainer straight from the UK or straight from Australia, and the person looks good on paper, but the person's expectations weren't managed accurately.
Absolutely.
So often you see people back home. You know, you get to know them over 6 months, and they're in the freelance world, and they're looking for clients. They're looking for this, and either they get, I won't say desperate, but they start taking clients on that they possibly shouldn't be taking on. You know, the goals aren't aligned to the skill set, and because they need to pay rent. We've talked about this on previous podcasts before, where people just do what they have to do to make the money so they can stay afloat. And sometimes that just grinds down on trainers, that grinds down on coaches, and they become like desperate within themselves for better growth, and they end up just going back to wherever they came from, and it must be an awful experience for them.
Oh, it is. I mean, and that's the big thing over here is that there's a mindset for some reason I see that, you know, if you come from the UK, Australia, or America, or New Zealand, and you come across here, you know, you deal with people that are a bit more, I suppose the word I use is hearty. The people over there, they want to train, they want to go hard, and they want to perform well. Where over here, you know, the people that are doing the training, they just come along because they think they have to, or it's a status thing. But what ends up happening is that these trainers, they just do a bit of work. They do work for a club. They want to go on their own because they feel like they've been unjust. And then what happens is that, yes, you're very good at coaching, but doesn't mean you have the ability to run a business.
100%.
And that's the biggest clash
So
we have.
true.
We have with heaps of people, and that's where you end up seeing the stresses that end up, because then they have to deal with the financial side of things. I'm not sure, you know, they think, oh, I'm very good at what I do, and you know, they usually are, but like the best coaches aren't always the best players, or the best players aren't the best businessmen.
Yeah, look, and I can vouch for that 100% personally for me, and I know the guys I work with now. You're looking at 4 sports science geeks who barely knew anything about business. Lucky for us, we had 4 of us, so we just about made it. You know, the 4 brains working together. I'm good at this, you're good at that, you're good at maths, right? You do the finance. What are you good at? Social media, right? You do social media.
Yeah.
I don't have time to do all these things. You don't have to. So lucky for us, we got very, very fortunate that we managed to stay afloat for. Now we've been 2.5 years, and we've got an employee now, and even that's like, right, we need to be careful who we employ, because we had our expectations mismanaged 4.5 years ago. Through no fault of the manager at the time. He had the best motivation. You know, he had a motivation, he had drive, he knew what he wanted to build. He was a fantastic coach, he was a fantastic people's person, but he wasn't a fantastic businessman. Do you know? And at the time, being one of his employees, we looked and we criticized and we thought, hey, you should do it this way.
I
you should do
know.
it that
See,
way.
that hurts me, because I manage a studio, and man, it's hard.
Yeah.
I think it's really hard, because on one end you have all of these financial obligations and these targets and all of these commitments, and on the other end you have people that all they're like was, well, can I get paid more? Can I get paid more? Can I get paid more? And it's like, guys, like, you need to be reasonable. And that's all I'm going to say.
It's because they, like you said, the reason why they came was they thought Dubai had loads of money. They'd be paid tax free, and they'd be on the beach all day, a couple of clients in the morning, and they'd be super rich. And that's not the reality of it at all when you arrive. But now,
what is the term? It's a British term. Graft? Is that?
You've got a graft.
Yes.
Yeah,
is that the right word?
That is the term for when you have to
Yes.
work your ass off. Yeah, if that's what you're referring to. That's what
Yeah.
grafting means.
See, in Oz, grafting is different, right? What is it? It's like something that you do when you build.
I'm a Kiwi.
Well, that could be where
We're
it's
the
derived from.
same. Southern Hemisphere.
Same.
That could be where it's derived from. Like you've got to graft. You've got to put the work in. You
Yeah,
have to.
maybe.
But like, however many years it is now, like I can totally appreciate the stresses and strains that guy was under. Do you know? And only now, well, in the last maybe 2 years, you can appreciate like the amount of room there is to get it wrong as a business owner, not a coach. Because as a coach, you can make par. You can go out. You can get 6-7 clients a week. You can earn good money per hour, but that's it for you. That's it. If you don't know how to transition
into a proper business.
into a business.
Yep.
You're doing that forever, and you're doing that when your wife is at home trying to feed the baby in the morning, and you're doing that when the kids get home from school in your late 30s and 40s. So where do you go from there? How do you transition from the coach into the business owner, where you now have you're now the guy you hated?
The key question, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the hardest thing.
Well, see, that's where the tables turn.
totally. And
You swallow your own
Yeah, you become what you disliked at the start.
yeah, you get a lot of learnings. I've just done I did a talk actually about 2 weeks ago. It was about passion versus profit, and the idea is that like people get into the fitness industry because they love activity. I mean, there's some freedoms about the lifestyle you can have as a PT or a yoga instructor or things like that, or a sports coach. You get to spend more time during the day. You can run your own. If you're a freelancer, you can pick your own timings. You can do that kind of thing, and you love what you do. And then you're helping other people. So people are very passionate about whether it be a yoga instructor, tennis coach, or a PT. And they got a great passion. And then like that conversion into business, you've got to start looking at, okay, if I'm going to develop a business, really, what is my skill set? And who is my demographic? Who am I actually trying to target? Over here, people get stuck in the whole, I want to teach everybody. I'm going to show everybody how to, if you're a PT, for example, they say that they can help everybody lose weight, or they can help everybody lift more, they can help everybody run faster, where they don't just go and focus on one specific demographic and work with them.
Like finding a niche, right?
Finding a niche is a key element to establishing your business. First of all, you gotta say, okay, I'm great at this, and this is how I establish my business. And that's where most PTs struggle, first as a freelancer, and then especially when they try and jump into a full business and open their own studio. So that's the biggest issue I've always seen, not just here in Dubai, but other places as well, as they all try and do too much, too often.
I've seen
And too quickly.
Far too quickly. Expectations.
Yeah.
Looking down the line, I'll do this in like 6 months. No.
Yeah, I've seen some studios where it's like they're a yoga studio and then they have like Les Mills, or you see,
They try and offer every yoga.
I'm not gonna like specify what studio that is, but I've seen like studios that it's like, you do yoga, stay with it, like focus, like do whatever you're doing well, and find that, as opposed to trying to do everything and offering dance classes and Pilates and then like 50 million other things.
Totally.
Like stay with your...
And that's why it's really important, I feel, that when you're coming over here into this industry, or even in another industry, is to look at what is your skill set, be honest with yourself what your skill set is, and then try and find those companies or those organizations that replicate your key skill set, your strengths. So you join those guys. If you're sports science, then work with people that are in sports science. If you just want to do weight loss or you just want to group fitness, that's where you should be, especially to establish yourself. You have a better, get a better rapport, you have a better relationship with the people you work with, and that relationship that ultimately gives you your name within the industry. And as long as you stick with that, you'll keep growing a stronger name. But yeah, being jack of all trades does not work.
No.
Not at all.
No, we've spoken about on the podcast before, though. There's that initial phase when you start in the career where you need to expose yourself to as much as you can.
Yeah.
So you do need to be like the apprentice jack of all trades, where you meet the pregnant lady and you go, nope, don't know what to do here. And you meet the injured person and you go, this is too much for me. You meet the guy who wants to get on stage and you go, right, I can jive with this guy. And you meet the person who wants to lose weight. So now you know, right, this is not me. I'm going to go down this way. But then you got to try and passion versus profit, isn't it? Like you just said, you got to not make sacrifices, but you got to try and market yourself. You got to try and shape yourself. You got to try and, focus on what you want to be good at.
Totally, 100%. And what that leads to is that you start creating a network. So if you say like, okay, let's say I'm good at teaching sports or sport movement, great, then that's my key. If someone comes to me about weight loss, then I would hand them over to someone else. And then if it's not about weight loss, then I'll hand them about strength training or weightlifting, Olympic weightlifting. If you send them to a specialist in the area, and what you end up doing is you end up creating a network where you bounce off each other, and you create a better business either as an individual, or if you go into the studio side of things, you start opening up. And there's a big fear factor over here. People have this fear of loss. First of all, obviously, when they come over here, they have the expectations that Dubai, you make lots of money. But then what they start to realize, actually, there's a lot of expenses living here as well, even just your personal expenses, living, travel, accommodation, food, and all that kind of thing, right? And so what they get caught into is the fact that they want to keep and maintain these clients, because maybe they've only got their 6 or 8 clients, and they're only doing maybe 15 sessions in a week, and they're starting to go like, oh geez, I don't want to hand them over to someone else, because that's 200 dirhams, 300 dirhams, or 400 dirhams, whatever they're charging per session, and there's that loss, so they hold on to them and they try and do everything, and they don't have a network, they don't work with others to build a stronger relationship with these guys, and ultimately, it's breaking through, and the ones that do well are the ones that say, look, here's my skill set, I focus on this, I'm going to hand these people off, because there's return. There's people will come back, not maybe immediately, but you have to let that go to start with, so that, if I'm referring to you, they'll usually refer back to me, usually.
I do that personally. I do that with nutrition. I can help people with nutrition. Like, here's my advice, right? This is what you're eating. Cut this out, cut this out, cut this out. Try eating this. Okay, if you want real specialist advice, you're going to go see this person. And I work with a British girl who's fantastic. But I make no sort of excuses. I go, look, I can help you, but nutrition is a whole other realm where you need an expert. You need an expert who knows you. You need someone who can call on all of their experience to say, we're going to try this, this, and this from the beginning, like from your first diet plan. So just go see this person. And to be fair to the girl, she does a fantastic job. I don't know if she's referred people back to me, but that's not really what I'm looking for, because I have my other pipelines and I have my other referral networks, but people come back to me feeling good that they've got the right help. So now they're starting to lose weight. That's all that matters.
Totally.
So I'm able to look after the gym training, which is what they need. So I'm not threatened. My revenue's not threatened. They still need to train, but they also need more support. So let's get them the support from the nutritionist. And then we have a 3-way dialogue with the nutritionist. She sends me the results. And what works well is I'm not being the food police to these clients. This is my personal, this is what I've learned as a result. This is what I decided going into it. But now I can say, the girl's name is Jenna. She works at Body Inc. And I can say, when are you seeing Jenna again? Oh, no, next week. I'm like, you better sort your diet out, because Jenna's not going to be happy. And I can be like, and then
sounds a little bit like the food police.
No, but then they can say, but it's not me. So they can tell me, oh no, I haven't done this, and I'm not going to be the one telling them off. So we can talk about it calmly. They're not under pressure for me, and then they need to go back to see her. And then I can also play good cop. She's the bad cop, with their diet, and we can help them properly. And it's just when I finally found her, and she did a good job with 2 or 3 people, I was like, perfect. This is exactly what I mean, because this is a load off my plate. I don't need to sit down with clients now and go through food plans, and I don't need to try and analyze this and put this on norms and body composition and different whatever. That's not now. I'm free of that. So now I can go spend my time reading something else, or I can spend my time actually with another whatever, learning something else in my realm. So, and then people do it with physios, they do it with doctors. You're going to get to a certain point of your expertise and go, too much for me, go see that person. I think that's crucially important, but there's not always the reliance on, I need you to send me back clients. You can also just, that person gets better
massively
at their thing.
I think you really hit on the key factor there, and that's what makes networking very powerful, because in the day, what you've done is, you've given her someone else, she's got a better service as a whole, and that service, it's for that person, it's that emotional attachment now that they've got, like, I've got a really good result, I was really looked after, it wasn't a selfish feeling at all, and from that is word of mouth. And word of mouth is the biggest way to grow your business, right? So when you've got someone that, you to let them go and say, get a nutrition like you've done, at the end of the day, when she is recommending or talking to someone and they're looking for a trainer or they're looking for something specialist, the first person they're going to think about is yourself.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. I think it's just so important to have networks. From your experience, where do you find sort of trainers trip up? Like,
exactly right there, where they have the fear factor of losing, first of all, the session, so they try and do too much, and it takes away. When they try and do too much, you hit on it there again, where they lose their own time. They try and think about too much, and they're not focused on one thing. So the service they offer becomes too watered down, for lack of another word of thinking in my head. and they're trying to be this be-all, end-all personnel, which doesn't work for most people because there are people that are better at certain things. I think they have a bit of an expectation. Usually it's an expectations of, the biggest trip is they try and do too much and they offer too much, or they try and give them the magic pill with the trainers. So what they end up doing is they end up like no networks, no word of mouth spreads around, and they end up being just 6 months later, I can't get clients. Well, yes, because you probably, if the clientele you have worked with, you try to do everything with them.
Everything badly as well.
Yeah.
Potentially. This is a hypothetical, but yeah.
Totally, exactly. You're not giving them, they are not getting the full benefits of what they should be getting, and end up, trying to do their own thing. It's like most people don't understand that you can't just be a one-man band. Teams work better than individuals. Two brains are better than one. 100%, right? And a lot of people just try and do their own thing because they think they're that great, and maybe they are very good. There's nothing wrong with that kind of mindset, but if you want to be strong and you want to really solidify yourself in any market, you've got to be open to networking with people. And the biggest trip is trying to take on too much from personal trainers' point of view. Absolutely, yeah. Actually, from a business point of view too, it's the other side. It's the same thing. You're talking about a business that tries to do everything.
Yeah.
They think, okay, we're going to cater for this market, this market, this market. And with clubs, it's probably the biggest thing that actually PTs will get involved with the wrong clubs. They just want a visa, or they just want a job. They get promised a lot of things. They don't take the time to research properly into the club that they're working with or the people they're working with. It's like anything in life, really. What works for one doesn't necessarily work for another. So people might be great as far as this business, but maybe you don't connect with the team. There starts being friction within the team, and then you start getting jealous about people, get clientele, and you don't, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So matching yourself with the right people and the right business is really important as an individual. Just as important as putting your business in the right location is extremely important for your business. It's no good, for example, using Dubai as an example, it's no good running a high-end fitness spa and putting it in Al Quoz. It's not the right demographic. Those people aren't looking for that. I've seen boxing gyms and stuff like that put in Jumeirah.
Yeah.
The demographic isn't there for that kind of people. They don't look at that side of things. So great ideas, just been executed badly. And see that with a lot of trainers too. A lot of trainers trying to do weight loss, but then they try and work out in facilities that have a lot of bodybuilders.
Yeah.
And so not creating the atmosphere, not creating the service, or not really delivering the right service for them. So, yeah.
So from your time here, how have you seen the industry evolve?
Yeah, I'm interested.
It explodes. I think I like to think of the term, people jump on the bandwagon. A very common thing you'll find here is that PTs probably in 2008, after the financial crash, a lot of people left, money left as well. The economy is actually in a stronger place now. And with that growth from 2008 onwards, there wasn't much regulations. So people kind of just jumped in, put their hand up.
Cowboy.
Massive cowboys, cowgirls coming into the industry going, I can do this, bring it on. But there's no regulation. And from a people point of view, people over here are very much about aesthetics. They're very much about status over here. And so that's where your networks can get stronger when you accept this, right? And what people have done, they've just gone to found the leanest, ripped, sexiest looking persons they can find, and that's who their trainer has become.
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with social media as well, because you can be misled into thinking that someone who has a huge social media following is very well educated and proficient at their craft, when that's not necessarily the case.
Oh,
You might, I've seen some people on Instagram that can do handstands and that are professing all this yoga knowledge, but they don't even have a yoga background. They've never done a course or anything like that, and it's like, what? And you have 500,000 followers. Yeah, you're a yogi, maybe in your personal practice, but you're not I think there to teach it to people eloquently enough.
That's it. Not every good player makes a great coach.
Yeah.
That kind of metaphor you're going in there. But the industry has exploded. I mean, literally, there's this massive curve since 2008, 10 years now, where it started off with just being a few PTs, mainly commercial gyms. Since then, every man and his dog wants to open up a studio or a business and a facility, and that's where you've just seen so many.
It's
new
oversaturated now.
It's not
Yeah.
saturated. I don't believe so.
I think massively.
Why would you
Yeah.
think that?
Well, because for the population density, I
Mhm.
think in terms of and the area, like if I look at say a different like London, let's take London for example. It's a huge city, and you go all the way. Do you call them boroughs? Is that right?
Yeah, they do in the UK. Yeah.
Yeah. So you go out, you have the population density to support the number of facilities that are within that. And here you have very small, this is just my personal opinion, by the way, just you have a very small demographic area, huge numbers of facilities. Like when we were doing some market research, we were at almost over 200, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 200 facilities.
Just gyms as
Just
well.
yeah, within like 40 kilometers of each other, and like thinking about they were just gyms. They weren't like spas, and they weren't the hotels that also had gyms.
Yeah, not
and they
yoga
weren't
studios.
yeah,
not
they
even
weren't-
building gyms.
yeah, and not building gyms. So when you start to factor all of those in, there's thousands in a 40-kilometer radius. It's I think there's a lot there.
Yeah, fair enough to say that. I look actually.
Yeah, I'd like to hear your opinion on that.
I look at it more like there's a lot of nothing, if that makes straight up sense.
I was going to say like glass half full, half empty, but then you just went to nothing, to total emptiness.
It's like literally, because I mean, that's what happened. You know, people saw opportunities. People see this $1 trillion industry, this fitness industry, and they're like, health industry, great, I want to get involved, I want a piece of the pie. And the most common thing you've seen lately was a PT was good at his trade, and then someone who had a bit of money. The two of them got together and they
Yeah.
decided to open up a club, open up a business.
Yeah.
And you see tons of facilities around here. Like you said, there is a lot of facilities within a 40k radius, but there's a lot of the wrong facilities in most locations. People they find the cheapest spot they can, whether it be up a high rise or somewhere in the industrial area, and they just try and open up and they try and go for it. And yes, there's a lot of numbered facilities, absolutely, but there's nothing as far as there's not nothing. There's not much that stand out in the region here. You know,
But
people
I
don't
think-
understand there's like 800 plus facilities or gym facilities here. Most people know about maybe 20
Yeah.
or 50 maybe, you know, off that. That's what I mean when I say there's a lot of nothing here. And that's where I don't believe the industry is saturated, because if you go to places like London and New Zealand, you can have one friggin' every or two or three in every block. You know, the demand's there.
But also the population densities there. I think
Totally.
Potentially just to segue on what you were discussing, that again, I think here there is a lot of nothing, but do clients know that that's nothing? I don't think
No,
that
they don't.
do. I think that they're going to these facilities a lot of the time. Again, we're just generalizing. There's a lot of amazing facilities here, and there's a
100%.
lot of amazing PTs here. There's like, a lot. I've like, obviously you guys at the physical training company, there's a few others that are really, really good at what you do. But yeah, then there's also from a client perspective, how do you know? Like, you don't.
You don't, and that's about awareness. I mean, that's where the marketing comes down for a lot of, and that's where a lot of PTs fail.
Marketing always like honest though. Come
No, it's
on.
not. That's the thing. You know, you got some of the best minds that struggle, and you got some of the worst minds that succeed massively.
Yeah.
It comes down to
We've
this
seen that
marketing.
on social media a lot. Like, I've found that some of the most incredibly intelligent people on social media, and they have like 100 followers.
Yeah.
And they're doctors, and they do all of this crazy, amazing research and stuff. And then you see like the fitness yogi who's got 500,000 and has no idea about like any anatomy or physiology, or is it appropriate to teach people handstands day one? Like,
Yeah, I think what you're looking at there, like, just to take a few steps back from that, is like people's attention is on Instagram. The public's attention is there. So that's what they're focused on. They're not, I think if you get a word of mouth referral from somebody in your workplace or in your community, you're gonna go to that quality person. You know, you're gonna test them out. So Instagram is kind of taking over people's attention on the most of the day. But when people get to the stage where they're really desperate, they tend to find, you know, the quality tends to be weeded out. It tends to rise up to the to the top, and people tend to go to. It's probably at their last resort. They find the doctor, they find the physio steers them to a referral, and then that's where people's networks benefit them because they had the quality in the first place. If the public are following people online, it's they're gonna eventually realize the quality of the person. Some people with big followings are top quality, and some people with big followings aren't. But eventually, the market decides. You know, people's feet do the talking rather. They'll go to the person, they'll see, they'll get on well. Some people pay trainers just to be there. You know, some people pay. You could be 4 or 5 years in the industry as a trainer, pretty average, and have a full client base because you've just found the clients that just you get on well. You got a great rapport. They're stable in their life. They just need to show up to the gym. You know, there's a whole lot of more factors. The trainer's quality suits what the person needs, and that trainer is set for life, and they might not have a bigger or a small following. There's so many dynamic there's so many like variables in the industry, but the main thing that people need to sort of there's reps are present in the region. Reps is there, the Register for Exercise Professionals, to tell people in the public, your trainer needs to be certified by us. What we do is we look at their certification. We have a database, and we compare their certification to the database, and we decide this person is good enough to go and work in this country, or this person is not. And if you're not on the reps register, then either you haven't gone to the effort of applying, or your thing doesn't make the cut. So I think the general public need to have a conversation with their trainer early on. I've never been asked once in my own reps, or in nearly 5 years. Nobody's turned around to me and gone, well, one of my clients actually said to me, I saw you online. I said, what are you talking about? My boss told us about, just in conversation, so we went online and there you were. And I was like, you're the only person, and that was about a year ago. Other than that, I don't think the general public know that this organization is there, this regulatory board is there. But even with them, they don't tell you who's the best and who's the second best and who's the third best. They just tell you these guys are at a standard, they're good to go. So yeah, I mean,
that's a lack of education again, isn't it? Or knowledge for the public to understand there should be certain criteria you're looking for. There's nothing here about that. It's all about marketing. Who's the leanest and who's the strongest or biggest. That's all you see with the marketing, and that's going back to the saturation side of things. There's lots of things out there. I think, but people, even going further back again to where you were talking about PTs and where they're tripping up, there's a lot of PTs. It's about, for me, when I look at people, when they want to be with someone, there's a connection between the client and the trainer, 100%. And maybe they're not the best, and people sometimes accept that because what is a feel-good factor, and that's why they stay with their trainer. Results are great, but you'll find a lot of people here, they stay with their trainers simply because of that feel-good factor, the connection they have with them when they show up. They feel accountable, they're there, and that's what makes stronger PTs, where some PTs just think about, it's another day, another session. The education massively lacks here as far as knowledge about regulations on trainers, or even most people think about going down to the beach, they don't know about you have to get a permit or a pass. There's a massive lack of education. I don't want to say anything online from whereabouts, but
Yeah, I think as well, it's people look at the regulation the wrong way, and sometimes they think the regulation is there just to make money off the people who want to train on the beach, or this company is just here in order to get licensing fees so that they can make money. And it's like, well, if you look at it that way, that's one way. But if you look at it in a way where they're actually trying to protect you, if you meet the standards, you're protected because you are now above all the people who are, as we referenced, cowboys or cowgirls. Like they're there actually to serve you if you're willing to accept like this regulation that's there. Like a physio and a doctor needs to sign up to their board, their chartered society, or their doctor's board, dentists, the whole lot. Why would the healthcare industry be any different? Like it's slowly but surely it's getting there, but I think a lot of the trainers actually begrudge the idea of having to join up these organizations
Oh, they do,
because
absolutely.
they feel it's just money out of their pocket. I think that's just that small. You're not looking at the big picture. You're not looking at, like, there's also the thing where every year you have to learn. It's there because you'll be a better person. Again, it's not them trying to make money out of you, so you pay the education supplier, and the education gives them a backhand, and everyone laughs off into their Bentleys and their Mercedes as they drive home. It's there to make the general public safer. It's there to look after people who are paying you to change their life, to look after them, to help them. So that's the big challenge, I think, is differentiating the quality from. I don't know.
From the Cowboys.
Yeah, but I mean, when you look at the Cowboys, let's take Cowboys themselves, because I also feel that.
Or cow person.
Yeah, the people who are.
That sounded so weird.
All right, let me suggest it this way: the people who are in the industry to help people, they just haven't. They don't know that they need to be better. Do you know what I mean? They've gone into a world of helping people. They've left school. They've gone to train someone. They've gone to join a gym. They want to get fit. They like being fit. They want to help other people be fit. So everyone's there from the best place. You know, everyone's there from the good of their heart. They want to make people healthier. If you don't know something, you don't know that you don't know it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's up to people above to elevate everybody. And I don't like the phrase raising the standard, because I think the standard's quite high. I don't think the standard, it's like we just need to get everybody continuing their journey, do you know? So I was dumb when I started in the industry. Absolutely, hands up.
As was I.
Of course. How we didn't just always have it.
It wasn't inserted.
Yeah. So you look at
I think
them
I'm
and
still there.
yeah.
Partially.
Yeah, so like you look at people who aren't good at certain things, and it's like, right, it's not your fault. It's only your fault if you're lazy and you're not progressing and you're stagnating and you're whatever. Like you said, you're just going cash, hour, check it off the list, session. Then you're being a little, come on, like make the effort. You've got into this industry and you've lost the love for it. Do something to find the love again. But I think if people are just helped along their way, you know, you got to stimulate people's brain and realize, oh, there is more I need to know. And you'll see people go, oh, I actually want to learn more. And I get asked questions all the time from trainers in the gym that I'm in, and it's stuff that I know I learned exactly this on my university degree. So there's no way this person is going to know this. So I'll sit and talk, and if I've got the time, I'll tell them everything they're asking, because it might stimulate a thought in the back of their head that there's this whole other world of pain. What is pain? This is what it is. Pain is this. I never looked at it that way. Okay, maybe that person might go off reading about pain, or at least they know there's something that they don't know. So now they can go off and they have more information to better train and suit their clients. So this whole cowboy thing, like, this is really where my passion for this website comes in, is because we can make it easier for them to get information. They don't have to sacrifice money to go for weekend courses. They don't have to travel abroad to get the courses, but you're going to try and bring it all, put it right in their lap, so that people can now go, okay, wow, I didn't know this. We spoke to Catherine Williams about menopause recently, and she taught me things there and then. She's like, menopause is only one day of the year, one day of your life, and it's termed 365 days after your last period. And I was like, didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
And I learned it.
No idea.
I learned it sitting here on the couch. Yeah, but we've spoken about menopause and pregnancy quite a lot.
Sorry.
We'll bring it back to the business side of things. If you were to give someone advice, take somebody who you kind of spoken initially. You're going to get someone, tell them, go into a club, expand your network. That's the people coming over from abroad. People who are abroad maybe watching this or listening in. Get in with an establishment, build your client base, get used to the city, get used to the culture here, and then continue on. For people in the industry now who are thinking about making the jump out of a club, or people who are freelancing and they're sort of, what advice would you have to give them on anything?
Yeah, first of all, going from a PT into that side of things, you got to understand that the expenses. It's not as free to be able to just go. First, when you need trade license costs, Parts of the region you need a sponsor as well. You need to pay those kind of things. You're going to have to pay your own way, and you got to realize there's seasonal work here. You're going to have times you have good times, you have times you have bad times. So you got to be honest with you. Are you good with managing money as well? Because a lot of people once they have it, they like to spend it quickly, and then over here, especially like during the summer times, things can dry up for some people. In fact, the majority of trainers, people go away during Ramadan, people go away during the hot season, people go away during school holidays, and people aren't very well prepared for that. So when thinking as a PT or as a trainer, you want to get into more of your own thing, you want to pull away from a club. First of all, you've got to have a foundation of clientele that are going to be very solid with you. But you've also got to understand that clientele is going to have time off as well, and away. So a foundation of clientele is having, say, 6 to 10 clients that, understanding one is going to go away at some point in time. So you've still got 5 clients you're going to train at least. Or if 2 of them go away, you still have 4 clients you're still going to train. So you've got to have a good clientele base before even considering moving away from where you're at. And then when you're away from it, you're going to have the lack of, the facility itself. So that's not going to be there anymore. So where are you going to train people? And if you're going to train people away from a facility, okay, you have to invest in your own equipment. And then it could be, if it's going into traveling to people's places and training them there's expenses there as well. I mean, not only as financial expenses, but there's time expenses. So it's not as easy as being in one club, one location, and clientele coming to train with you. As soon as you go on your own, if you're having to go to their places all the time, a 30-minute drive across town and then 30-minute back, that's a 1 hour you've lost from your business, from your day. So there's a lot of research needs to go in behind the expenses to actually set up what you are to be legally in the organizations. You're part of the organizations as well. There's a side of how much time do I have, and how can I run my business. And if you don't know how to run a business, then the first thing you should be doing is be spending maybe 6 to or even a year with the business, understanding the expenses, because people they don't understand it. They don't know. They don't know, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's the whole thing of like a lot of people focus on these days. They focus on the standard marketing avenues or streams where they go on Facebook, or they try and do ads, or they try and join an event or something like that, where people aren't thinking about the people that actually they train at the moment. So for example, when someone starts off here and they get 1 client, the biggest focus should be on 1, making sure they achieve their goals, and 2, they've really done a great job, and they've enjoyed the time as well. They've had an enjoyable time during the training, or they've got to their end and success quickly or effectively. When they do that, obviously that helps create a network, so it grows rapport, and it gives a word of mouth. It's the same for a business, as a studio or a company. It's the same for an individual. When you focus on that person, they are your number 1 seller from helping you increase your business, because they can share the experience with other people. They can, you see an advert on Facebook, or you see a video on Facebook, which does help, don't get me wrong, but there's no emotional attachment to that. That's what you're trying to do with marketing. You're trying to create an emotional attachment, whereas a person obviously can deliver that emotional attachment to other people. Now, when you focus on the people, say that you've got 1 client, they tell another client, great, so now you've got 2 clients. So you focus on, again, that service, and you focus on the experience that they have with you every single time. So they tell someone else, and it rolls on through that. And your marketing should be focused on those people you're currently training. As a PT, the 5 to 6 people. Work on those guys, using them to deliver your message and your training to the outside world. Because it's actually about a simple thing would be like, if it's a shirt or a bangle or something that just creates the conversation or starts the conversation, something in their wallet, something on their car. You put marketing into that, because people are inquisitive. They're curious, So if someone opens up their wallet and they've got your PT training cards in there, oh, what's that? Or if you're wearing a bangle or a friendship bracelet type thing that's in your branding colors, they'll ask about it. People will ask about it, and from that it initiates a conversation. Oh, I'm training with this guy or girl, and they start talking about it, and then that person who's gone through the experience can now share that experience, and that there's also starts a bond straight away without even having to meet the client. So the marketing you should focus on is about your clientele. First, the service, and then how do we get your current clientele to market you? And you're doing it by small things, like a t-shirt's a very common thing for people to do. But it's so common these days. You've got to look at the peacock effect. So how do you stand out from the crowd? You know, if everyone's doing the same thing. So little things like bangles, little things like a car sticker, little things like photos on imagery or a little video with your clientele, and being real is another big thing about that. So marketing should be focused on people in your club, if you're thinking about your club and how you're trying to market your club, or the clientele that you train on.
Awesome. So where can people find you online, and where can they hook up with you? Just get in catch up with what you're doing.
The easiest place to find me is probably usually by email. So grant@fitnesslink.me.
And they've got FitnessLink on Facebook for trainers. Is that
Yeah,
active?
the FitnessLink. So it's fitnesslinkpro.com is actually a new website I've just launched, and the idea behind that one is to help public connect with trainers. And
We
vice
didn't even
versa.
talk about this another time.
Yeah, we'll have to come back to that another time and share the
Well, it's
knowledge
just
on that
launching.
one.
It's just a new thing launching. Just, I mean, like yourselves, you know, there's ideas in the way how help people,
Yeah.
and that's another way to.
Yeah, but I think for the fitness industry, if it helps people connect with each other and
Yeah.
helps professionals find clients and vice versa, then yeah, it might be nice to have a chat about that. But
Yeah, so I didn't think
are
about that.
you on any other social media like Instagram or Facebook?
Yeah, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, it's all the same. Grant, we'll say goes.
Yeah.
So it's Goes. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, you can find me on all those avenues as well.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Thanks so much for coming along today. It was
Oh,
great
thank you for having
chatting
me.
to
That
you.
was fantastic. Fun.
See you soon, guys.
Bye.